staying away from YouTube Live, and I just been working on my shorts here and there, and focusing on just being a better person every day, like we all should do. Um, I'm not gonna make this that long, but I just want to make I'm just like a dedication video because I want to talk about an educator. But before I speak of a certain educator, I want to touch on. I'm not even gonna say her name, but I'll say her title, and I'll say what school she represents. But I gotta give a quick story of myself real quick. I live in Macon, Georgia, middle Georgia, and when I first moved here, I had it tough. I took a big leap of faith, and I felt my pride as an American. I can go anywhere in the country as I have, and I can adjust. And it's one thing to visit somewhere; it's another thing to acclimate yourself into living there and the environment in itself. And this is kind of emotional for me. Um, there were a few things that made me stay the course and steadfast. One, I had spent all my money on my crib. The second thing was my neighbors, um, particularly my older neighbor, and it was another lady originally as well, another older lady. And I remember the first time I moved to the city, I went to Golden Corral, and I seen so much love and unity amongst the community, particularly, the older black community, but it was this love and camaraderie and civilness to everybody. And I just fell in love with that. It was like going back in time. And so that tugged on my heartstrings. And I was like, this is such a beautiful, classy, old school town that I would love to raise my child in or whatever, when the time is right. And so I went to putting forth plans and of working and maintaining my life. I went through some adversity, and one of the things I found early on into this town is I was looking at the sports. I found that they take high school sports in Georgia very seriously, and especially football. And so I was like, okay, I'm hearing the teams and teams. I'm thinking, man, I gotta get me a little team I'm gonna cheer for. I knew I was gonna cheer for the local college, Mercer or whatever, as far because they don't compete in the FBS, so it wasn't gonna interfere with my actual Florida Gators. So I know I could get behind that. But I was like, what, which one of the high school teams I'm gonna cheer for? And then they came across a team called Ace Gryphons. And I said, Ace Griffin, you know, I'm a Griffin. That's another reason I moved to Georgia. I originally was gonna move to Griffin, Georgia. And I guess we all try to find ourselves and looking for ourselves and whatnot, right, in life. So when I heard Ace Griffin and they spell it different, I started doing the research on what's a Griffin. I even made a song about Griffin. And I got behind the team. It was the softball team at first. I think the girls softball team was dominating. Then there was the football team been doing pretty good this year. And just everything of what it seemed like the school stood for. I started looking at it like I was actually at that point in time thinking about volunteering with high school sports and whatnot. Like who would I want to get behind? And I said, man, they such a great institution. I could see my child going there. Like they such a prominent, like to me, they are in Broward County, you got prominent institutions, but one that's kind of like almost state renowned or nationally renowned would be St. Thomas Aquinas. A lot of NFL players went there, get scholarships there, and it's a lot of other prideful schools. But I'm talking about this is a private school. This is a school that people pay tuition to get into because you want your kid as a parent to receive a high standard of education. You want them to be somewhere where they're validated, their intelligence is validated, and that they can be acknowledged and they can excel in. And so, you know, when I started looking at the school, it was more than just the athletic department that was impressive. It was, wow, I love everything Ace Griffin stand for. Like, I like the fact they don't even use the word high school in their name. They're just an educational institution. And I said, man, I love everything they stood for. So recently, they were in the news, and they were in the news because a lot of people have been politicizing Charlie Kirk's death. Um, and a lot of people have used his death as an instrument to attack what they feel is marginalized groups. And I'm gonna say a couple things. First of all, this whole video is for a defense of what ACE stands for and the high scholastic value they hold themselves to, and that the great they do in the community. But I just want to say this real quick, and this is not attached to ACE. I just got to get a this disclaimer. How dare you people try to use Charlie Kirk death to attack people instead of attack the people that killed them? Now, I know people say, oh, well, matter of fact, just out of respect for the school, because that's for another video. I've said it in the past. You could do your research and find out the people who pull the strings to get things done, who runs this country. That's for you guys to do. But since I'm making this as a defense to that school, I don't want to tie them up and broil them into any more controversies that they've been drugged into unfairly already. But I would call out people to say people are cowards to act like they cared so much for Charlie Kirk, but you don't want to call out his real killers. His real killers jump right in your face on the TV. I'm not just talking about the guy because, okay, a guy, they say guns kill people, or they say stupid people with guns kill people. So, okay, you can look at the person, the so-called perpetrator, but I'm talking about the people that frontline things and get in your face and got the power of the media outlets, the whole nine, and you guys turn a blind eye. We talking about America, right? We talking about patriotism, right? Because I'm talking about an American institution. Let's just say hypothetically, this American patriot who you guys fake that you love so much, that you want to cost people their jobs about. If you don't mind costing people their jobs, you should be just out of your mind, livid with the fact that a foreign country has more power than your local politicians that you guys vote blindly for. Maybe this should be an awakening. It was the bad coin term, woke, when it was supposed to be black people, but America needs to awake and realize whoever you vote for, you get the same president and the same spineless politicians. And when it starts boiling down into our education system, they said the trickling down. That's the trickle down effect. It's the horrible trickle down effect. The SHIT rolls downhill. And now I'm gonna speak on this educator real quick. There's a lady at the same school, Ace Gryphons, the principal. She's been there since the inception. Imagine building something. I'm gonna make a comparison of her and Charlie Kirk. He built Turning Point from the ground up, only to have his killers kill him and take over his place. This lady built this school from the ground up, and now you got these outside voices like, oh, you didn't fly a flag half staff. When nobody bickering about senators, U.S. senators, elected officials, really elected officials got killed, nobody flew a flag half staff. No mandates was called to fly a flag half staff. That was a pointless gesture when the president mandated that nations and schools around the nation fly their flag. That was a meaningless gesture when he was just at a baseball game or a football game the next day, kicking it back, laughing his ass off. The people that kill you will tell your story, and it won't be your story. It will be his story. Let's say that word together. His story. So when you learn about his story, know that you're not getting it from the person who really died. You're getting it from the person that killed them. It's his story. The victor goes the spoils. So you need to understand that the people who are out here pulling strings and manipulating things and got all the power and the access to manipulate the sheeps, because most people, they're looking at where I'm going to get my news source from. They don't have like these filters where they can, discern what is prevalent and what's not. They just take it all in and they say, okay, that's what it is. But what's the reality of this situation is very simple, man. This lady started this school from the ground up. And now you got people trying to oust her. You got the board director who served this country. Imagine that. You serve your country. You go out there on the battlefields. You risk blood, sweat, tears. You might die behind a politician who ain't never picked up an M16 in his life, never went to war, never had a shootout, never had any kind of situation that threatened his life remotely. But just the stroke of a pen can put your life in danger. The stroke of a pen could take a father or a mother away, a son away, a grandson away. The stroke of a pen from a guy who took money from lobbyists. A guy who takes money and sells his country out. That's espionage. These guys are espionage people. They're spying for other countries. But yet, in this tyrannical government that it seems to be every day, they're calling us, we the people, the terrorists, when we start speaking for ourselves. They're calling us radical left, radical right, radical this, radical that. When they're the ones who are radical. I find it highly radical that you can take your citizens' money and don't account for how you spend it and then tell them, hey, shut up, you terrorists. So, with the way this politics is swaying in this country and going, and the way these leaders are starting to reveal themselves, whether by force or choice, I think that we need to just understand that the people who fought for that flag, black and white, so many wars on so many fronts. And I'm talking about the original wars. I'm not talking about these new wars of just taking over and acquiring land for no reason. I'm talking about wars that was of principle, the founding wars that led to so-called freedom. And the people that fought for that now have to explain themselves to people who never had the best interests of that flag, nor the people in this country. It saddens me. And I'm just, on my behalf, on Ace Griffin, just not apart from them, but on my behalf as a fan of the institution, of the school, of the people that put that whole foundation together, I like to apologize to them for the ignorance and the sheeps of this country who have no spine, no backbone. I like to apologize and say I'm sorry that we live in a country that is not owned by we the people. I'm sorry that we have to adhere to people who are quick to take a picture with the widow, or take a quick little photo op, make everything political and in their favor, and carry on with their life. Like, people in this world, black and white, civil rights to national identity, etc., have died. And usually what you have is cowards who hide and wait for the result of the benefit. They wait. They let the Candace Owens of the world go out there and risk their lives. They let the Charlie Kirks go out there. They let the Martin Luther Kings go out there. The Malcolm X go out there. They let them all go out there, and then when they get killed, they try to reap the benefit. They come in. They already be having your replacement too. That's the crazy part. The people who really running the I don't want to go too far off the rail, but I just want to say that, I learned a lot about the founding members of ACE, the school ACE Gryphons in Macon, Georgia. And my heart goes out to them. My heart bleeds for them. And the people who are trying to persecute them, I would challenge you that if you really don't want to just politicize something, but you actually really care about the individual that died, why don't you do your research? Why don't you enamor yourself into who he was going against before he died? He wasn't. He talked crap. Like, listen, let's call it. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it a buck. Charlie Kirk talked big shit about black people. I haven't cussed this entire video, but I just, for the sake of me showing the authenticity in what I'm saying, let me just make a quick point. Charlie Kirk did what Donald Trump do to a certain extent. Populist. He said what miseducated white people will want to hear certain times. But one thing I can't deny, the same way I can't deny with Nick Fuentes, is love for thy country. When you see love for thy country, is prevalent. You can see it. No matter, you can almost scuffle through the foolery and say, man, that person really loves America. I don't think Charlie Kirk loved America no more than me, and vice versa. I think we both love this country. And how I know that? Because he was willing to call out. Now, one thing that I've never been willing to do, and I'm never gonna be willing to do, I'm not ever gonna take the other side money and say, "Hey, give me some money," and then I'll go ahead and say, "Man, this at all costs." Nah, that's treason to me. But with that said, I'm a proud American, and this school that I'm referencing, they're proud Americans. Their institution was founded by proud Americans. The kids that go to that school are proud Americans. They deserve to have the educators who have made that school as permanent as it is. And for people to jump into politics, this is not a school that went out there and said the hell with Charlie Kirk. This is not a school that did anything to tarnish his name. They're just a school that made an accident of keeping their flag full staff. And they didn't, it was just a simple clerical accident. But forget the clerical accident. I think it was the I personally, even though it was an accident, I'm so proud of them. I look at it as the equivalent of Rosa Parks saying, you know what, this is not the day you send me to the back seat. What is American freedom if I can't practice my civil liberties? Well, I mean, are we not a state that are 50 states that are supposed to be governed by its own body? We're 50 allies. They call this the Great American Experiment for a reason. New York is in Texas is bigger than most of the countries you hear about in the world. Most of these power countries you hear about, Texas could be its own country. California could be its own country. Florida could be its own country. But yet we somehow have been trying to keep it all together and say, hey, we're all united as one. Okay, but guess what? We can't all be united and baptized into ignorance and into susceptibleness of being a proxy to a foreign nation. And although they made a mistake, make no mistake about this, I am so proud of them as a school and as an institution. And I hope in the future, if there are orders to fly a flag half staff, I hope some institution of prominent regard says, you know what, we're standing down. We're not going to politicize this, because the people I can guarantee you, a person that's really grieving, they don't go to a baseball game and celebrate. And I just made a comment yesterday how Candace Owens seemed like she fighting harder for Charlie than his loved ones. I mean, just the proof is in the pudding. She's screaming, she's arguing, she's at the brink of about to cry. And yet, and she's risking her life. And his closest people, like I'm gonna finish it like this, and this has nothing to do with nothing, but it has a lot to do with my life, which is I was bummed out. I haven't been married before, haven't found a woman that I thought would be suitable for marriage. But let me tell you something. If I was to get killed and been with my wife and we got multiple kids, you better damn beyond cry for me. You better cry for me while I'm living. If I die or get killed in a heinous way, you better fight for me. You better come out like Emmett Till, mama, and cuss everybody out. Hey, this is what they did to mine. I'm telling on everybody. You never was his friend. Y'all must ain't never seen no videos of how it be at black funerals. Watching some Facebook videos of black funerals. They be calling out people. They say, hey, what you doing at this funeral? You talked about this person the whole time they were living. Y'all never got along. That's what a real loved one gonna do. A real loved one. So I'm simply saying that this fake outrage and costing people their jobs and threatening to take people jobs just to make a political point. If you really want to make a political point, free America. Free America from the strains of you know who. I haven't said the name this entire post, but we all know at this point. Free America. Let's take back civil liberties. Let's have institutional liberties. Let the institutions of this country have the right to say, you know what? We, as an institution, don't agree with that. We don't advocate murder, but we don't feel this is something that is of that nature that we want to get involved in this politics. You know, a school is bipartisan, and the most bipartisan thing you can do as a school is to not play a role in politics. You can educate your kids, you can educate the kids. Like when I was in middle school, I fell in love with US history. I fell in love with American government. My eighth grade teacher, you know, they used to do this. I don't know if they do it in Georgia, but in Florida, in the eighth grade, they have a end of the year school trip to Washington, D.C. And that was always like, we used to say that's for the rich kids because they used to cost $500. I'm pretty sure it's way more now. But it was $500 back then. My little brother got to go on that trip, my dad's son, because he was a little rich kid. But I didn't get to go, and I was pissed about it. But I remember us watching the presidential debate of the year 2000. I remember General Wesley Clark on stage. I remember seeing Dennis Kucinich because I was like, damn, he got some big ass ears shaped like mine. I remember seeing these different politicians and looking at a debate forum. And so, you know, this is how I fell in love. This is what a school does for an American child. It taught me about my government. It didn't say, hey, be a Democrat, hey, be a Republican. It said, hey, this is the legislative branch, this is the judicial branch, this is the executive branch. Back then, the president used to make $250,000 for a 4-year term. And I remember these things was ingrained in my mind. And it taught me that this is what the institutions of America. And then when you think about a government that cuts from and I promise you, I gotta finalize this at some point. I guess it just dawned on me. The most offensive thing is our government, no matter who the president is, and I've said this in past posts, they cut from the Department of Education, all of them. Every from Obama to since before Obama, from Clinton. Let's just start from Clinton. We can really go from Reagan. Let's go from Reagan. From Reagan until now, that's the 80s until now. Every administration comes in, and the first department that get their budget slash Department of Education. These folks never cared about our kids, never cared about our higher learning institutions because they know that their kids had money and that I can afford to send my kid to college whether he's an idiot or not. I can afford to just give him this company and say, hey, run it. You don't have to know what you're doing. I put a guy up under you, call him the VP, and he'll know everything. You just sit there and take the credit, smile for the cameras, kiss the babies. So these people, that they never wanted us to have this society where you can come from the bottom to the top. And yet this is what American institutions, schools was affording the average kid. And this is what the politicians that we vote and elect for that say they're leaders go against. And so they cut. Department of Education, cut funds, cut funds. Oh, what we gonna cut again? Let's go back. Department of Education. That should be the last place we make cuts at. But then we wonder why we fall behind and we import these chips. We need chips for this. We need chips for cars and all this electronic chips and this, that. We get all the college kids in debt to where, and now it's becoming like China where freaking you graduate with an MBA, you graduate with a master's, and now you find yourself down store manager at Lowe's. What the hell? What the hell? All respect to the store manager at Lowe's. I'm pretty sure they're making bank. But when I'm making a point, you're in a field that has nothing to do pertaining to your degree. because our politicians have sold us out. So I just want to like the we the people, we the citizens. You have the responsibility as an American citizen to do your homework and stop being a blind sheep. Stop. I'm a person that loves the news. I watch the news. I watch the original broadcast, the second coming broadcast, and the last final broadcast. I watch it all, regurgitate it over and over. I just watch it. That's what I do. I just found out something that I might have Asperger's syndrome or something. But that's what I do. But one thing about it is I know how to filter. I know how to disdain foolishness. I know that these people can't just get on a news station and just say what the truth is. They have to read from the teleprompt. But I appreciate getting the general information and then I go do my research. And that's what I'm asking you guys to do. Don't just be so blind to the first thing you see on TV and say, oh my goodness, that school didn't fly their flag half staff. They must be anti-American. Do your research. You owe it to your kids, you owe it to your parents, and you owe it to every American that died for you. Because not every American that died for you died on the so-called battlefield, even though it's all a battlefield, you know. So just think about the martyrs that came before you and how you owe that. And that's like I said, I'm not gonna be doing these lives as much as I used to because I've had an awakening recently and I just been doing shorts and keeping it comedic sketches and whatnot. And but my as I evolve into this middle age, I haven't turned 40 just yet. So as I evolve, I realized I've been talking these talking points, saying I'm a proud 11th generation, 12th generation American, this, that, all I know is America. And I just been listening to myself, replaying these thoughts in my voice in my head, and I keep saying to myself, man, I sound like an idiot talking about I never been out the country before. Only an idiot has never been out the country before. What loyalty do I owe this country that I just gotta stay in the damn country like I'm a hostage here? Like our politicians, every politician, there's not a single politician from representative to a senator that has never stayed in the country. Everybody done been out the country. So we gotta redefine like this patriotism because we love this country more than our elected officials. That's just the reality of it. That is a facade. And I'm as I learn and redefine what it is to be American, um, I just wanna just like, I don't know. Like I said, man, shout out to Ace Gryphons. Shout out to the entire staff that's online. But when I speak it in person, first person that get goofy, I get even goofier because I'm one thing about me, nobody can't deny me of. I'm a full American, whatever that means. And ain't nobody gonna make me be quiet. Ain't nobody gonna make me be a sheep. Nobody. Nobody's gonna challenge my love for that country, but I will challenge theirs. Cause I want to know what have you done to advocate for your country? What risks have you taken? Personal reputation, business reputation, etc. I could tell you the ones I've taken and opportunities I've pissed away due to my outspokenness against the powers that be. And I'll leave it at that. Stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Love.